Hey guys, welcome back. This is the video for my 6th graders reading list for this school year 24-25. Alright guys, welcome back. I'm Laura Wilkie with Down Home with Lemon Pie. I am a Christian stay-at-home homeschool mama of 7, and this is the new school year, guys. We have already started, and I am getting these book lists out to you guys. I already shared with you guys the book list I made for my 8th grader, and I explained that she is a very advanced reader. She enjoys reading lots of things. She reads constantly, and so it was a very extensive list. If you missed that video, I will link it below. But this list is for my 6th grader, and she is beginning to get more into reading, but for the most part, it is not as much of a love or something that she just wants to do all the time like her big sister. So her book list is extensively shorter. I had to be more specific when I was looking for books because I wasn't including as many. So I wanted to be really specific and very sure of the ones I was including. So I'm going to be sharing that with you guys. Also, I do want to tell you that this school year we are doing Mystery of History, which Volume 1, which starts at creation. So that's the time period we're studying, and I like to share that because I like to find books that kind of fit into that time period as well. So that forward. We also are doing Ambleside, so some of the recommendations are from Mystery of History, the books that they recommend. Some of them are from Ambleside, and some of them are just books that, are just kind of on our shelves or our list or whatever. They might be from other homeschool curriculums that we've enjoyed in the past, like My Father's World or Sunlight or Heart of Dakota. Generally all Charlotte Mason based books. So that is where we're at. And I am going to get started with this. I do have one more book list I'm going to share with you guys next week, which is for my 5th grade son. So these books are, although they are close in age and they are very similar in personality, these books lean a little bit more toward girl interest books, okay? And so next week I will share with you guys the books for my son, which are going to be about the same level, but more of a boy interest. So if that's what you're looking for, look for that. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start with the books that are recommended by Mystery of History. I love Mystery of History. This is our 2nd year using it, and they do have resources that go along with their curriculum. Sometimes it's on a disc, sometimes it's a link inside the book, and it takes you to reading recommendations. And what I absolutely love is that there are options for various ages. So there are books listed there for all ages. There are books listed there for younger kids, middle kids, and older kids. And I absolutely love how they do this. I just go ahead and print it out, and then I just put the initial next to my kids. I read, it has small little descriptions of some of them. Some of them I look up, and I just love it so much. So that is where I'm going to start. So they have the first category they have listed is time period classics. These are like the books you don't want to miss. And then after that, it goes into books by lesson. So based on what you're studying specifically, it goes into that. And there's actually, before that, there's actually a couple others, read aloud favorites and some things. So I'm just going to go down the list and tell you guys what we selected, what we kind of highlighted for her list. The first one is Tirza. And I talked about this in my other book video for my older daughter, and I really am considering doing this as a read aloud because it is 160 pages. It says right here it's a great read aloud for younger kids, so I thought it would be a good one. I haven't purchased it yet, so we probably won't get to it right away, but when we do, that is on the list. The next one is Adara. Again, both of these are kind of like historical fiction based on characters during that time period. Obviously not exactly true because they're, we just have the Bible, but they are very close, and I really like that. I believe both of these are I might be wrong. I need to look this back up, but I believe one of them for sure is about kind of like Moses and during that time period, and I don't remember the other one. The next one I have listed is Victory on the Walls, which again, I was considering doing as a read aloud, so but I did highlight it here for her. It's 182 pages. It says it's an excellent historical fiction about Nehemiah and the rebuilding of Jerusalem's walls, so I thought that would be a great one for her. The next one I have is one of the Royal Diaries books, and my oldest daughter read several of these years ago, and there's actually even some little movies that go with some of these. Sometimes you can find streaming, and this is one of the ones that has a movie with it, and this is one of the ones that she said was her favorite, and it is Cleopatra the Seventh, Daughter of the Nile, so I have that on there. Okay, this might be, I don't know. My oldest daughter is was really interested in reading Homer, Iliad, Odyssey, all of these things, and she was really excited to look at mythology and all of that. So I put those for her. I went ahead and wrote it down for this one as well because they kind of have similar interests when it goes to that, but I don't know if she's going to be interested or not. She may be bored out of her mind, but it's the children's Homer, The Adventures of Odysseus, and The Tale of Troy. And then the next one is Aesop's Fables. Again, just something good for all around. I feel like you're never really too old for those. You're always going to get something out of it. So I did include it with my older daughter as well. All right, the next one I have, let me see. Let's go a few pages here because I don't have any for that part. Okay, the next one I have is about Noah. When we start talking about Noah, the true story of Noah's Ark. This is a Master Books book, and it has 72 pages. I have several books similar to this about dinosaurs and things, and I think I even put them down for her, but I really want to get this one because I think it's going to be one of those that when your kiddos are approached by people, maybe they are I don't know, maybe they're not believers, maybe they're people that are in public school and they're being taught something different, but I feel like our kids need to have that more than just the Bible, like a little bit of proof, some explanation, some things like that. And that's what these books do. So there is that one. There is one also by Master Books called Life in the Great Ice Age that I wrote down that we have read before, and I absolutely loved it. And I got so much out of it as an adult, and I know that they're going to get so much out of it as well. And then the next one is What Really Happened to the Dinosaurs. This one is kind of a younger kid's book. It's 32 pages, but it is chock full of so much good information. It's by Ken Ham. And again, it's just a really good one. Another one that I just happen to have, so I'm going to put it on there. We may or may not read it. The Great Dinosaur Mystery and the Bible. Again, I just happen to have it, so I figured why not? Okay, the next one I have is talking about, this is when we start talking about Sumerians, stories from the Silk Road. I don't know. It's by Barefoot Books. I don't know why, but I just felt like that was going to be one that we would enjoy. So I put a little highlight on it. Let me see. There is a Gilgamesh trilogy. So my older daughter, I did write down the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is a little bit longer version. And then there's a trilogy in picture book form, from what I understand. And it says this is the first of a well-done picture book series that divides the story into 3 parts. Beautiful artwork. Some of the pictures may be disturbing to sensitive students. It's 24 pages, and the first one is called Gilgamesh the King, and then Revenge of Ishtar, and then the third one, it says, contains the flood story, is The Last Quest of a Gilgamesh. So we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to obtain all of those. I don't even know if they're available at the library. If they're not, I'm probably at this time not going to go out of my way to hunt them down, but if they're there, we'll read them. Okay, then we go into, let's see, Minoan civilization Abraham, Jacob, Esau, Joseph. I don't really have any books specifically for those, for this age group. She does list the Bible multiple times for this age group for that particular spot, so I don't have anything specific for that. Moses, oh, here we go. Tirzah that I talked about earlier is Moses. And so yeah, so that's where that fits in. Let's see. Okay, this is a step into reading book that I do have, and it is Tut's Mummy Lost and Found. I don't know if she's read this one or not, so I went ahead and put it on there. If she has, she may want to reread it. I don't know, but I did put it on there because I know it is a good one, and we already have it, so that's a bonus. Let's see. Okay. When we get into Trojan Horse, I talked about Children's Homer, but also I saw one called Trojan Horse, How the Greeks Won the War, 48 pages. So if the Children's Homer is too intimidating or just too much, I may try to hunt down this one at the library if they happen to have it. Okay, let's see. This goes kind of quickly because a lot of these books I selected for my older daughter and not for this one because, like I said, I wanted to be really particular on what I picked because she is not yet as excited of a reader, I guess. Okay, oh, this is where Adara that I talked about at the beginning comes in. It is Elisha, Israel's prophet, so that's where that falls historically. And then, let me see. Okay, the next one is, Magic Tree House. I don't read a lot of Magic Tree House. In fact, I don't know that any of my kids have ever read any of the Magic Tree House books. But I did write down this one, which is Hour of the Olympics, the Mary Pope Osborne, The Tale of Jack and Annie in Ancient Greece brings the ancient Olympics to life. And some of the Magic Tree House books have a companion that goes with it that gives you like all the nonfiction factual information. And so there is one that goes with this, Ancient Greece and the Olympics, a nonfiction companion to Magic Tree House. So if they want to read the first one, yay. If they want to go further and read the second one, that works too. And I think those are pretty common. So I'm pretty sure that's at the library. So I'm not worried about finding that one. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is, for Babylonian Captivity, I wrote down Jerusalem Still Shining, a great book that all ages would appreciate, describes in children's language the history of Jerusalem well beyond the Babylonian captivity. It does have a note that says it may be difficult to locate. So, again, I'm not going to kill myself trying to find it. If I don't find it, I don't find it, and we move on. The next one, Aesop's Fables, that comes in right between Daniel and Ezekiel. So that's where we will do that one. Then we have, let me see. Okay, for Esther, we have Hadassah, the girl who became Queen Esther. This is 168 pages. I thought she probably would like this. I did write it down also for my older daughter, so you may recognize it because I already talked about it. Okay, for Socrates, I've been looking for some of these and I haven't had a lot of luck, but I did write it down. Just, you never know. You never know. You may find it at a thrift store or whatever. So for Socrates, there's a book called Wise Guy, The Life and Philosophy of Socrates. I'm assuming it's a picture book or close to that because it's 40 pages. And then the Book of Virtues by William J. Bennett, it says, is included here because it has several excerpts from Plato, which I wrote down actually for all three of my bigger kids. So you'll hear that one in the next video as well. And you probably heard it in my last video. Okay. The next one, this one is one that I really do want to find, and I think it's pretty easy to find, so I don't think it'll be a big deal. But around the time we start talking about Alexander the Great, it has a study on Archimedes, and so I wrote down Archimedes and the Door of Science. I actually wrote this down for my son as well, and I thought they would both just enjoy that, so I wrote that one. All right, and moving on, none from there. Okay, the next one I have, okay, I already told you Cleopatra, Daughter of the Nile, the Royal Diaries book. There is a picture book also. It's 48 pages, but I really think she's going to probably want the chapter book, so I'm not too concerned about that. The one after that is Herod the Great. Again, I wrote this down for my older daughter as well because it's listed as all students. So I went ahead and wrote it down for all of them. It says it's very well written. It's 64 pages. When they're like that, a lot of times I'll probably just do it as a read aloud if we can get our hands on it, and then everybody gets it at the same time. So I see there is, this gets us into Ben-Hur, which I wrote down for my oldest and I talked about in the last video. But for this daughter, I did see that there is like an animated version streaming, I think, on Tubi. So I am probably going to let all of the little ones watch that version. So that will be good for there. And then, okay, so that wraps up all of the ones from Mystery of History. Okay. So now I have a stack of books that a stack here that I wrote down. I don't have them sitting here with me. That I wrote down for just kind of like other things, like missionary stories or cultural things or just plain entertainment. So I will go through those with you guys. Some of the books by Dave and Nita Jackson, I absolutely love the ones they do, and they're so well done. Specifically, I wrote down Chimney Sweep's Ransom, only because I happen to have it on hand right now. But there are several good ones by them, and they're all good, and they're good and Christian and very well done. The next one is Grain of Rice. We read this when she was younger, way younger, probably first or second grade. And I pulled it out and asked her, I said, do you remember this book? And she said, no. And so I wrote it down because it's a good one to read multiple times. Okay, I wrote down Boy of the Pyramids and Little Miriam of Galilee. When we went through a few years back and studied this time period previously, I had purchased a bunch of books. I talked about this in my other video. I purchased a bunch of books, and at the time, none of my kids were really ready to read any of them. There were various ages, like the Children's Homer, and Boy of the Pyramids was one, Little Miriam of Galilee. There were several of them, and nobody really read them. So now that we're going through this time period again, what I do is I take all the books that are kind of specific like that for a curriculum and I stick them in a box. And then when we come back to that time period, I pull that box out and it's like they're all fresh and new. So I did write down Boy of the Pyramids and Little Miriam of Galilee. Okay, the next one is The Doll Shop Downstairs. I absolutely adore this book. It is so sweet. It is World War II and it's just adorable. So I think she'll like it. This is a kind of a girly girl and she loves children and things that are related to that. So I think she'll enjoy that. With my little guys that are in 3rd grade and down, we are reading through the Heroes for Young Readers picture books. So I did write those down. But if she wants a little bit more of a challenge, or if she finds one that she really enjoys and wants to learn more about that person, I also wrote down like / Christian Heroes books because we can do those together and it will be fine. She probably wouldn't do too many, but I would like for her to. I think she would enjoy it. Okay, the next one I wrote down was Betsy Tacy books 1 through 4. Again, we just have them on hand, so that's why I wrote it down, but I think she'll enjoy them. Okay, I wrote down Matchlock Gun. I actually put this on my son's list too, but my oldest daughter, when she read this, I want to say 3 years ago, she even pulled me aside and said, hey, have you read this? You got to read this. It's so good. So I wrote it down for this daughter as well. She's about that same age now, and I think she would enjoy it. Okay, so City of Ember series. If you've not read this series, it is super good even for adults. It's about these people, book 1. We read book 1 through 4. Honestly, to be just really frank with you, book 4 you can just skip because it's kind of dull. But It is basically these people, and they live underground, and they've lived there their whole lives, and they don't know they live underground, and now they kind of start to figure it out. That's basically book 1, and they're kind of figuring it out. And so I wrote it down, City of Ember series, because I think she would really enjoy it. She read the Among the Hidden series this past year and really enjoyed that, and this is kind of the same feel. It's a totally different topic, but it's that same kind of feel, so I think she'll enjoy it. Okay, I wrote down Courage of Sarah Noble because, again, another book that we read in the past and she does not remember. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, it would be such a quick read and it would refresh her memory, and I think she would enjoy it. So I wrote it down. Another one that I just happened to have, I think someone gave it to me, is Silver Pines Inn by Gloria Rep, Christian author, and I love several other books that she has that we have read also. And so I went ahead and wrote this one down too because, again, I just happened to have it. So okay, A Series of Unfortunate Events. My oldest daughter just read through that whole series. I really enjoyed it and recommended it for younger sisters. So there you go. And, okay, I wrote down Secret School by Avie. It's about a school kind of in the 20s, I think is when it takes place. And they're shutting the school down because the teacher has to leave and there's no other teacher. And so a teenager just takes over and runs this secret school. And it's about how she does, how well she does, and how well she doesn't do. And I thought she would really appreciate it. I did like the references in it. I read it myself, and I liked the references to some of the vintage books and supplies that you see now coming back around in homeschool world, like the McGuffey readers and things like that. So I did appreciate that. I also wrote down Mary Jones in Her Bible, and this is a story about a girl who, I believe it's a true story, and she just wants to have a Bible, and she wants to have one so bad that she works for years to earn enough money, and then she has to walk a whole bunch of miles to get to it, and then she almost doesn't get it, and then she does. And it's just the story of kind of her life and how that goes for her. And I thought it was a really good one for appreciating, because we are starting at the beginning of the Bible now in history, and I thought it would be a good time for kind of appreciating what we have in our world. So that's that one. Helen Keller's Story of My Life. She just hasn't read it, so I wrote it down. One of the Little House on the Prairie books. We've read several of them as read alouds, but I thought she is ready to tackle it on her own, so I wrote it down. I'm kind of going to let her pick, and we'll see where we go with that. Okay, the next one, I wrote down just some great illustrated classics. I'm not exactly sure which ones. Some of the ones I wrote down were Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm, A Christmas Carol, Black Beauty, Around the World in 80 Days, Little Women, Robinson Crusoe, Treasure Island, maybe Hans Brinker. These are some that I thought she would be interested in, but I would like her to start reading some of those classics. And I have a whole video where I talk about why I recommend doing the abridged versions and why I think it's okay to go there. And I have an older daughter who has read abridged versions and has gone on to read unabridged versions because she understood them and enjoyed them as an abridged. So I am totally okay with that. I don't know how everyone feels about that, but I am totally okay with that, and I think it's a good time to start introducing them. The next one I wrote down was Silver Bowl. Kind of a fairy tale feel story, kind of this little Cinderella-y girl that's kind of cleaning all the time, and she sees visions and things in this bowl. Basically, I didn't know it was a trilogy though, so I wrote down the whole trilogy. If she enjoys it, we may continue. She may just do the first one. I am not the kind of mom who is like, you will read every page of this book and every book on this list. No, this book, these lists are to create a love of learning and a love of reading. So yes, there are lots of books, lots of different kinds of books, different genres and things for that purpose, because I want them to find something that they enjoy that is good literature. And so that's why there's a lot of options here. But again, if they start reading it and they're like, I am not feeling this, it is boring, I am okay with them putting it down and moving on to the next one. That's okay. So the next one I have is Shakespeare Stealer. I wrote this down because we are starting Shakespeare this year, and I thought that might be a fun little tie-in, so we'll see. The next one is Gregor the Overlander series. This is kind of similar to City of Ember, so if she enjoys that one, she may want to go with this one as well. This is written by Suzanne Collins, I believe, who wrote Maze Runner series or Hunger Games. I can't remember. Anyway, it is on there as well, so that's kind of, I think it's 4 books. Yeah. The next one I have, if she does the Little Women from Great Illustrated Classics, I did write down Quiet Little Women Christmas Stories. That's another book, and my oldest daughter read it last year and loved it. And she was like, I want to read it again, and I think Layla would enjoy it too. So I wrote it down for sister too. The next, I'm getting down to the end, guys, so hang in there. The next one is Fever 1793. I read this one years ago and thought it was just wonderfully well done. So I am excited to see what she thinks about it as well. It's a little thicker than most of the books on this list, and I hope that's okay. I hope she really is eager to tackle it because it really is a great story. If you haven't read this one, I highly recommend it even for yourselves. Okay, the next one is Good Master. There's several along this same line. I think White Stallion maybe is another one, and by the same author. Anyway, they are supposed to be really good and clean, and so I wrote that one down. Okay, next I have Katie Woodlawn and Hans Brinker. I wrote both of those down. And after that, I wrote down the Ballet Shoes. This is a whole series. They're all something shoes. And so I figure we'll try this. Maybe she's into it. Maybe not. We'll see. And the last one I have listed is The Little Lame Prince and His Traveling Cloak, an older book, I believe from the late 1800s, about a prince, and he can't get around very well, but he puts this cloak on and he's able to get around. Kind of a fairy tale feel. I think there's a fairy godmother or father or something in the book that helps him get around and have these little adventures. And that is kind of her personality. So I'm hoping she will enjoy that as well and think it is just a good book. Like I said, this list is really girl interest heavy, so I'm okay with if some of these she's not interested in or whatever, that's okay. But next week I will give you guys the book list for my 5th grader. Like I said, he has similar interests, so some of the books are going to be the same, but a lot more boy interest heavy. So I'm hoping that he will get even more into reading as well and enjoy it as much as the rest of us do. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. That's her list, and we'll see how far we get. I don't know. I'll do an update at the end of the school year and let you guys know. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.